We're not just talking about the hype of AI, but instead the utility of it, where these tools actually start making your lives easier, your code cleaner, and your business results more impactful.
A year ago, if you asked me that would we be in this point right now where the consistency of the tools and the productivity gains that you get from them would be where they are, I would have said. I would have been skeptical, but now I can honestly say I haven't written a line of code by hand in over 6 months, which is insane to me, right?
Totally. Hello, and welcome back to Ads DevCast. I'm your host, Corey Lucino from the Google Ads Developer Relations team, and it is an absolutely thrilling time to be a developer in general, but also the advertising space is no different. If you've been following our updates on LinkedIn, watching our YouTube content, or just hanging out with us on our Google Advertising and Measurement Discord server, then you know the landscape is changing and innovation is happening at an impressive pace. We aren't just talking about incremental updates with the API anymore. We're talking about facilitating improvements, tangible improvements, and how you as a developer or a technical user interact with our platforms. To help with this episode's topics, later on in the episode I'll be bringing in my colleague Matt Landers from our Ads Developer Relations team. Matt's a developer relations engineer. He's a champion behind our move to launch the Google Advertising and Measurement Discord server. He was one of the first people on our team to be pushing for MCPs, so super excited to get his thoughts on the topics today. And that leads us to our topics for today. We're going to discuss some tools, technologies, solutions that you should be considering right now when it comes to technical solutions, development, workflows, and AI tooling. We're not just talking about the hype of AI, but instead the utility of it, where these tools actually start making your lives easier, your code cleaner, and your business results more impactful. We're going to talk about why you should not only care about these changes, but why you should genuinely be excited for them. We'll be talking through some specific tools available today, leveraging both AI-driven and traditional solutions to supercharge your development and your technical workflows. Whether it's increasing your productivity by improving your development environment, making debugging less of a headache, and managing your API integrations with less manual effort, or it's processing data at impressive speeds, generating automated reports. Whatever it may be, there's something in this episode for everyone. We want to decrease the friction that you feel when working with our advertising and measurement APIs. We want to reduce the friction that sometimes pulls you down on a project, the documentation searches, the complex querying, the migration hurdles, and we want to get you from start to landing faster. So let me start with the big picture. Developing across multiple platforms, juggling different schemas, business layers in your integration, it's difficult. The lost time due to context switching, debugging issues, that time can add up. This is why it's incredibly important for us to understand your pain points and try to solve for them with you, making your job as seamless as possible. So we've heard a lot of feedback, and we're always looking for more. And that's one of the main reasons we started this podcast and our Discord server as well. We're opening our doors to connect with you, to listen to you. If you're not already on the Discord server, I recommend you join us. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll also try to put it in one of the corners up here. But as always, please do join our Discord server, and also please provide some feedback for us. We'll have a survey in this episode like we did in the previous episodes as well. The link for that is goo.go/ADC-survey-E3. Again, you don't have to write that down. I'll be putting it in the episode description. So I want to take a moment to first discuss some tools that our whole technical community can benefit from, not just our developers. I'm talking about our advertising MCP servers, specifically the Google Ads API MCP and the Google Analytics API MCP. And a reminder, an MCP is an open standard protocol. It allows your agents, like Gemini, to effectively reach out to data sources that are important to you. In our world, the advertising world, this means we're giving our agents the tools that they need to interact with our APIs on Google's side directly and act on your advertising and measurement data. Using Google Ads as an example, if you're a marketing manager and you're asking one of your developers to get you a report on underperforming campaigns, this would need to be implemented. This would need to be coded. This means your engineer would have to go into the API documentation, find the right report type, understand the Google Ads API query language syntax, develop a query and subsequent UI components for your reporting tool, and then this all leaves out the testing and deployment that happens with any feature. Once this is completed, maybe a week or two later, then you could go in and you could pull the data and you could format it however you needed. That's a lot of work. That's a long time. But with the Google Ads API MCP server, same with the Analytics MCP server, you move into a world of real-time natural language querying. That same marketing manager can literally say to Gemini, or any agent that you're using, show me the campaigns for the last 30 days that have spent more than $500 but have a conversions rate lower than 1%. Group them by campaign type and suggest which ones I should pause based on historical performance. I read that because that's actually a query that I tried. It was really cool to see the results. The MCP handles the many reports needed for this and their data translation. It knows how to construct the GACL query. It knows which fields are available. It knows how to interpret the results. This isn't just a quality of life improvement. This is a productivity multiplier. The marketing manager in this scenario, they just had their question answered in minutes versus weeks. The engineer didn't have to stop what they were doing on more mission critical features that an engineer is needed for just to build one report. All that said, MCP usage goes deeper than just running reports. I spoke with my teammates who develop and own the MCP solutions for Google Ads API and Analytics API, and I asked them, do any of you have any suggestions on how we could showcase leveraging both MCP servers together to solve an interesting problem? These two products work together in so many ways, so I would imagine our listeners out there, you all, would be interested to understand, what are some workflows that they could and should be using our MCPs for together. So a really interesting solution that we came up with was verifying engagement rates for landing pages. It's a classic problem. You have an ad that's performing great. Maybe it's a high click-through rate, low cost per click. Awesome. But for some reason, the conversions just aren't there. Historically, solving this is a pain, to put it in any other way. You'd have to pull an ad performance report, and that's the Ads API. You'd have to jump over to the Google Analytics API. You'd have to see what those specific users did once they landed. You'd be joining data on gclids, on campaign names. You'd be trying to align attribution windows. And all of this is just to guess what the root cause is. By combining the Google Ads MCP and the Google Analytics MCP into your agent, you're able to get all the required data together in one place, one context, and focus on how you can perform the analysis in just seconds. Let's give this agent a prompt, verify the engagement rate for my landing pages, get landing pages with a high click-through rate, check their engagement rate and bounce rate, and if the engagement rate is low or the bounce rate is high, suggest some improvements for me. The agent can look at the ad copy and let's say it's sustainable sneakers for $50. And it can compare it to the landing page content. Maybe the landing page content in this example is luxury leather boots. It'll now cross-reference that with the Google Analytics engagement metrics like bounce rate or session duration, and it can provide an insight.
You have good ads driving traffic with a high click-through rate for sustainable sneakers, but your landing page is irrelevant to that query. It's likely this is causing the 90% bounce rate we see in your data. You can improve your ROI by fixing a simple content mismatch.
Thanks, Gemini. That's a tangible, revenue-impacting business outcome, delivered in the time that it takes to brew a cup of coffee. Another idea that we came up with is improving your smart bidding data. So smart bidding is incredibly powerful, but it's only as good as the signals that you give it. If you're only tracking lead form submits, you're missing out on a huge amount of data about the user's intent. By using Google Analytics MCP server, you can correlate the Google Analytics events that are high intent, but don't actually result in the sale of a conversion, so therefore they're not exported to Google Ads. Asking this of an agent, you might find events like spending more than 2 minutes on the pricing page. Maybe that's not being included as a primary or secondary goal, and maybe it should be. This would give the ads smart bidding information that it doesn't otherwise have that might lead to more sales. We're moving into an era where the technical gap is closing. You don't need to be a 10-year engineering veteran to make meaningful data-driven decisions for your business. You just need a good understanding of your business goals and the willingness to leverage these new AI-driven workflows. Not to mention the real value that your 10-year veteran engineers now can create since they're no longer bogged down with day-to-day operational asks. The excitement here shouldn't be just about the big shiny new thing that agents and MCPs are, and they are exciting, but it's about the application of these and their measurable decrease in frustration and increase in impact. That's why we're excited, and that's why I think you should be too. These MCP solutions we discussed are incredible for querying and structuring data. I'd like to take a moment to introduce a guest for this week's episode, a colleague of mine on the Ads Developer Relations team, Matt Landers. Welcome, Matt. Why don't you introduce yourself for everyone?
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Landers. I've been at Google for 4 years, and I've been working on Google Analytics, but also just our measurement products. So if you've done anything with Google Analytics, you probably have seen me in a few videos here and there. So maybe it's not the first time, but yeah, I'm happy to be on here. Excited for this podcast to be kicking off and to be able to be part of it. So.
Super excited to have you. Yeah, Matt's been on a million videos on the Analytics channel, so definitely go check him out. Matt's actually been instrumental in the MCP direction for our team, specifically for the measurement products. So Matt, maybe you could give us a little bit of history on how this all came about and really where you think we're going to take it.
Yeah, so I would say what it's been, wow, it's getting close to a year now, but it's we started this project right around a year ago. You just started to see the writing on the wall that, I feel like all the AI tools until now, a lot of the focus has been on coding, but we've seen that their capabilities have expanded. And then I was just seeing that, hey, marketers are going to want to be able to access their data through an LLM, just like we're using it to code every day, right? And so we had the idea, like, how are we going to do this? MCP was getting hot at the time. We were like, hey, let's do this. Let's spin this MCP server up, see if there's any interest in it. We launched it after a couple of weeks, did some coding, got it out there, and the reception was really great. We got a lot of press on it. We've gotten a lot of people taking it up. I think we were a little bit early then. There wasn't... The usage wasn't super high, but there was usage, which was nice to see. But then something happened, maybe in December, January. I don't know what happened. MCP got hot across more than just the developer tools. And we've seen a huge uptick in people using the MCP server for analytics specifically. And it's been really cool to see. The main thing that we want to do is just unlock the possibility for you to use an AI assistant, or you can also code against it as well, right? So just have this tool in your toolbox that you can give your AI to have access to all of your data and do things a lot quicker than you used to be able to do, and potentially do things that you just haven't been able to do in the past, or would have been very difficult to do with some type of deterministic system. So it's been a fun ride. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And, we have the Analytics API MCP server, and we also have the Ads API MCP server. And we're always looking to get feedback on how use cases are being rolled out for different folks. Matt, you actually have a program going right now where you're trying to understand use cases that folks have.
Yeah, the main thing we want to see is how people are using the MCP. Like, what are you using it for? What are your use cases? Is it part of your daily workflow? Are you automating things? What tools are you using to access the MCP? Are you using Gemini CLI? Are you using desktop tools? What models are you using? All these things are really important for us to get feedback on so that we can continue to improve it and make it better in the future. So yeah, there'll be a link in the show notes that you can click on. It'll take you to a thread in Discord. If you reply there, we'll set up some time with you to get some feedback. We'll set up a Discord chat for us to get on. You can share your workflow, what you're doing. Love to see anything anybody's doing. It's so cool to see some of these things that people are doing. I've seen people deploy the MCP to the edge in Cloudflare. I've seen lots of different use cases. And we just want to make sure that we're getting your feedback of, hey, right now we haven't implemented every API endpoint in the MCP. So what's important for people to have? What do you want? Do you want to be able to create audiences with the MCP? Do you want to be able to run funnel reports? Anything like that. So yeah, just looking to get that feedback.
Yeah, and we are looking for those feature requests, right? Like we are rapidly iterating on these MCP tools, right? If you are interested in a session, please do definitely follow that link. Go chat with Matt and his team. If you are looking for more anonymous feedback, reminder, we always have a survey at the end of every episode. Within that survey, there's an MCP question as well. You can provide us some feedback there, but the session is going to be really beneficial, I think, honestly, for both you and for Matt and his team. So highly recommend jumping on if you're interested there.
Yeah, for sure. And the other place you can go is just GitHub. If you file an issue, we'll see it there too. I'm monitoring that.
In GitHub, you're saying?
Yes.
Yep. And Matt, actually, your team just released a new add-on for Sheets, right? I remember seeing a demo of it just a week ago. It was actually really, really cool. How are our technical users going to use this? How does it really move the needle for them?
Yeah, so Ilya on my team wrote this tool. We published it a while ago, but we just made a major update, which is to include, of course, AI in it. You can't have a product anymore without AI. But basically, the Sheets is the report builder add-on, and it allows you to query your analytics instance and pull data directly into Sheets. It uses the data API in the backend. But before, we had this really complex way to create your report. You had to go in, choose all your dimensions, your metrics, your time range, like all of these things had to be filled up. And this form gets really complicated if you have lots of dimensions and metrics.
Oh, totally.
Well, Ilya had this idea of like, hey, Gemini can probably do this for you. So we integrated Gemini in there, and now you can just say something like, what's my highest converting landing page? And it'll create a JSON request that then gets translated into that form, and you can run it right away. So it's pretty cool. You can just type in your query that you want to get the data back that you are looking for, and it will run the query and import it in Sheets. So
that's really awesome. I'd like to switch gears actually for a second, and I'd like to talk about the developer workflows as well, because we're talking a lot about our technical users who may not be developers and are trying to, kind of up-level their game. But there's a lot that we've been doing for our traditional developer community as well. Today, not only are developers working on increasingly complex workflows, but due to the speed of technology and the needs of businesses growing like crazy, they're being asked to do this more quickly and more sophisticatedly. It's really important, I think, and I know, Matt, you and I were talking about this recently, that our developers out there, that they're using tools available to them, AI or otherwise, that they're using tools available to them to increase their efficiency, to decrease their context switching costs, whatever it may be. So, Matt, I'd love, maybe you can just chat about this a little bit.
Yeah, I think, over the last 6 months, a lot has changed. I think a year ago, if you asked me that would we be in this point right now where the consistency of the tools and the productivity gains that you get from them would be where they are, I would have said, I'd have been skeptical. But now I can honestly say I haven't written a line of code by hand in over 6 months, which is insane to me, right?
Totally.
How did we end up here from, a couple years ago? We could generate some scripts and stuff, but I never saw it being able to take on the workload that it could. But it can. So I assume at this point that any developer out there is using AI in their workflow somehow. The main thing that I would say is that it's all changing very, very fast, right? It's every day I feel like there's a new tool. Like we're launching new things. We'll talk about one thing that we're launching for AdMob integration in a little bit. But there's lots of different tools, third party or Google, that you can use. There's lots of niche tools like our MCP servers, domain specific tools. For our developers in particular, hopefully they're getting their tools are able to execute on the tasks that they want to by looking at our documentation, by using the extensions that we make available and those kind of things. I know that in my workflow, I feel like my workflow just gets more and more complicated to say. I just adding more things to it, but it seems to just be improving my overall output. And I think that's the really important thing is that developers are experimenting and trying things out. If you try something out with tools that we're releasing on the ads API side, ads analytics, any of our ads products APIs, and you're finding that you're frustrated that they're not working consistently for you, please give us that feedback. We want to improve our documentation. We want to provide other types of tools to integrate into your workflow. We just got to know where the struggles are, and that's the biggest thing for us. But we're dying to like build that stuff out.
Totally, yeah, and it's not just the gaps in the tools that we've provided. It's gaps in tools we haven't yet even thought of. If you have a use case out there that is something that we haven't built a tool for yet, that's equally as important to us as a gap in a tool that we've built that you want a new added feature for. So both of those, like, please definitely let us know. Do want to quickly talk about a niche tool like you were talking about before. This one's specifically for Google Ads API, and I actually talked about it in episode 1. It's the Google Ads API Developer Assistant, and this is a Gemini extension versus what we were just talking about with MCP servers and add-ons. But this is specifically meant to basically improve the performance of your agent, in this case Gemini, for things like Google Ads API implementation, debugging, and other developer-centric needs. So, being a developer often means an IDE open on one screen and at least 40 tabs open in at least one Chrome window on other screens, not to mention documentation, Stack Overflow, maybe a chat going with a senior developer on your team to say what's going on. The Google Ads API Developer Assistant is designed to replace all that context switching. Development shouldn't be a book report. It shouldn't be, hey, I'm going to go look up on the web and say, how do I do this little thing? Okay, go back, right a line. Okay, how do I do this next thing? Okay, go back, right a line. You can think about this assistant as kind of a senior pair programmer that sits right next to you, and specifically one that's memorized the entire Google Ads API schema, every single error that it can produce, and they also happen to write proficiently in any of our client libraries. So that's pretty cool. The Google Ads Developer Assistant, I'd mentioned in episode 1, we're rapidly iterating on it in the same way that Matt wants feedback from the MCPs. We're constantly looking for feedback there as well. I'm going to go ahead and give folks out there a challenge. I want you to go try playing with it, and I want you to ask it, show me the metrics for all campaigns with more than 10 impressions in the last 39 days. Watch what it does. Not only is it going to generate the code for you to do that, it'll actually run the code directly in the CLI, and then it'll save that code off for you so that you can use it later on in your own integrations. And inevitably, with any code, whether it's human-written or agent-written, you're going to get back an error from the API, and you can point the assistant at that area in your code and give it that error that you got, and it'll not only explain what you did wrong, but it'll actually explain what the changes that it made to your code base to fix that for you. One of the really cool things is it doesn't even have to be an error in your application. It can be troubleshooting a problem in your account. So you can ask it, hey, I uploaded 750 conversions 3 days ago. 600 of them are appearing. How do I fix that? It'll work out what queries it needs to run. It'll write the code for it. It'll run it. It'll analyze it. It will tell you what you wanted to know, and then it'll write up suggestions on how you can actually troubleshoot and fix this. So really, really cool tool. Last one I'll leave you with on this tool, and then Matt, I have a question for you, but try one more query with it. Ask it to find all problems in your account. Just ask it simply, find all problems in my account. See what it comes up with. You might be surprised to find that it'll know of issues in your account before you even know of them. So Matt, question for you. On the measurement side of things, do we have anything like this in the works? How are we improving developer workflows on the measurement side?
Yeah, we have some things that we want to build. Definitely we want to have skills. So skills have been hot over the last few months, but basically, it's context for your AI tooling, for your agents, to tell them how they need to code against, usually it's domain specific. Like I know that the Google ADK team, the Agent Developer Kit, they released the skill that you can pull down and it'll help you build agents using the ADK. We want to do the same thing for the analytics APIs, for data manager, tagging. Anywhere where we have APIs, we should have a skill that you can install to assist you in that development. And it does similar things to what you were saying. It's completely dependent on your workflow, but the nice thing about skills is they can be anywhere. They're not just Gemini CLI or anybody else's tool. You can use them with any agent. So we definitely want to produce those. I'm not making any promises on when we'll be able to get them out there, but we are it is on the plan. We will get them out there this year. So
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. And then, AI tooling aside, in the measurement space, you're also looking at developer workflows in terms of diagnostics, right? Like the Data Manager API. We talked about that last episode. There's going to be Data Manager API diagnostics in the UI, and that's the first time for this. That's huge. I know you're super well versed in this area. What are these diagnostics going to look like, and how should developers start planning to leverage them?
yeah, for Data Manager specifically, if you don't know what it is our entryway into sending data to the Google Ads products. So it's one API where you can send your data to Google Analytics, to Google Ads, to CM360, to all of our different ads products. So with that comes, you need diagnostics to know what happened with your data. If you sent us a bunch of conversions or an audience list, you need to be able to tell what the success rate was for that across all of the different products that data went to. So that's something that we have in the Data Manager API right now. We're constantly trying to make improvements to that. Right now you can see things like what your match rate was. It'll tell you if you have encryption errors. It'll reject things at certain levels, and you'll be able to get that back. You'll be able to tell what happened at each product. You can iterate through all of the errors across all the products. So it's just a good way to be able to tell what happened with your data imports on that side. And then on the UI integration, that's something that we haven't had to date. Like the API and the UI are not, you can't see what happened via the API in the UI. So we're looking to add that integration over the next, I don't know a timeline, and I'm not going to commit to one here, but we are trying to put that diagnostics information into the UI as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that in there. I'm looking forward to seeing the workflows that our developers build around that and how it improves the health of their systems. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, sending in your audience and conversion data is the number one thing that you can improve your campaign performance and your measurement overall, so that you have a better understanding of what your users are doing when related to your sites and products. And then having that extra data allows us, all that data gets fed to our models, which improves the success rate of those campaigns. So it's really important that you send the data that you have so that you can make the most out of the work that we're putting in on the modeling side to make sure that your campaigns are as efficient as possible.
Yeah, models are only as good as the data provided to them, right?
Yeah.
You need good data to have good output. And I know I've been asking you a lot about the measurement side, and we talked a bunch about Google Ads as well, but there's stuff going on the publisher side too. I know you alluded to that earlier. Matt, there's a migration tool that we were just talking with a teammate about yesterday. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit. So this is another tool that we've released. It's a skill for the AdMob SDK. So the AdMob SDK allows you to, as a developer of an app, to serve ads in your and monetize your app essentially. So you can have a free app where you serve ads, and then that allows you to generate revenue for that app. Part of that is that we have a migration from one SDK to the next, and we wanted to make sure that we gave you the tools to migrate from one SDK to the other. And we went and did that with a skill. Now, this skill isn't published currently on, like, you can't do npx skills install for this, but it's available in our documentation, and you can pull that right into your project, tell your coding agent about it, and it will give it all the details that it needs in order to do that migration for you, or at least assist you in it. Definitely with any AI generated code, make sure you're reviewing it. But it should help you get along that path a lot quicker. So.
Yeah, human in the loop always, right? Definitely recommend you checking out this tool. Like Matt said before about the link to the sessions for the MCP feedback, we're going to also put a link to this tool and all the other tools that we've talked about in the description for the episode. I'll make sure I try to put them in one of these two corners here. I don't know which one it'll pop up in, but definitely keep an eye out for it. One want to change gears one more time and move on to my favorite part of each of these episodes, which is the community segment. So, if for anyone who is your first time listening, at the end of each episode, I dive into some questions, comments, general trends that we're seeing from you across our Discord servers, YouTube comments, LinkedIn, the broader web. Matt, I'm going to keep you on the hook as we go through some of these questions.
All right, let's do it. I love
all right.
It,
So I guess just first, keep an eye out on LinkedIn and Discord for any future polls. But we've been getting a lot of questions. So super, super excited about the engagement that we're getting. We get a lot of feedback on Discord all the time. If you're not in that community, another plug, please join. So our first question actually comes from Sarah on LinkedIn, and she asks, will natural language querying via these MCPs eventually replace the need to learn a product's query language, schemas, or syntax entirely? And this is a great question. Matt, your team was the first team within Ads DevRel to put together an MCP server. So what are your thoughts on this?
I love MCPs. I love AI. I have so many different workflows where I integrate this stuff in. But I don't know that I'm ready to just give up all of my skills right now. I think there's a time and a place for a lot of these things. I'm not really writing code by hand, but it's the knowledge that you have about the systems improves the output of your AI generation so much. So I think the more that you know about the domain that you're working on, the better output you're going to get from your tooling. So do you need to know as much about the syntax of everything? Maybe not, but understanding the architectural decisions that you're making are critical as well. And yeah, the MCPs can query stuff, but you also want to have, a lot of times in code, you want to have a deterministic outcome. And sometimes that requires you writing code where you know exactly what you're going to get every single time. So it's a give and take, and it just depends on your use case. I will say that I think it's unlikely that, syntax has just become so, something that's, you don't necessarily need to memorize anymore. It used to be very valuable to know syntax because that would allow you to not have to look and research every single thing that you did, and you could just sit and write some code. The syntax, though, has taken a back seat. Now it's really about what do you want to do, and do you understand the limitations of whatever it is you're working with. Like, for instance, in this particular case, you're asking about the query languages. Well, knowing the power of those languages, what they can and can't do, will be important to know so that you can talk to your AI tooling in a way where you can get the right output quicker as well, right? Like if you know you can't do something, that's going to prevent you from iterating and getting in those loops of asking the AI to do something, it doesn't do it, and you're just frustrated. But really, it just can't do it.
Sure, totally. Or it's just the way you're crafting the prompt that it's getting confused on two terms. And we'd actually even mentioned earlier, that human in the loop concept, right? Just because it produces an output doesn't mean it produces the output, right? Like if you don't know exactly what it is you're asking for or how to vet the output that's coming back, you're relying entirely on an AI to determine what's right for you. And that's not where we want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a really concrete example for that on something I'm working on. I was trying to improve the query performance of some queries that we're running, and it kept trying to do it in the relational database. And I knew that this is never going to happen. What I'm trying to get out of this is averages over date ranges and stuff. It's never going to speed that up to a way that's reasonable. But then I was able to say, because I have the knowledge, to say, hey, let's use an OLAP database for this. It'll be a lot faster. And then it's oh yeah, you're right, you should do that. But how long would I have sat there and iterated on this thing if I didn't know that there was another solution available to me? So I think still having that domain knowledge is critical. It's going to make the output better and ultimately your products better.
Or just feed your context window with the entire couple books of data structures and algorithms and see what happens.
One day, maybe.
All right, I want to jump to our next question. So this one is from a user named Dan in our Discord, full username hidden. He asks, what is the learning curve for integrating the ads and analytics MCPs? I'm going to give a quick shot at this, and then Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Sure.
But I think we kind of covered it a little bit. If you know your business needs and you can articulate them as a prompt, you're probably in a pretty good spot. But it really depends on what it is exactly that you're looking to do with it.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by integrating here. If you're just saying like, hey, I haven't used these tools before, how do I get them up and running? I will say the onboarding process is not the most straightforward if you're not a developer. If you're a Google Ads API developer, then it should be really easy to get them up and running. You'll know how to do the authentication. If you're a marketer and you want to use them, you're probably going to have to go through some things you've never gone through before to get them up and running just for the authentication. But I have a video on that, so for the analytics one, and it's the way that you set up the ads one is very, very similar. But you can see that on YouTube, the Google Analytics MCP setup tutorial. So check that out. But as far as integrating them into your products, which could be the other thing that you mean here, there's lots of ways that you can do that too. You can look at the Agent Development Kit, which is a really powerful framework for building custom agents. It can actually use MCPs as part of its process. So you can have an agent that you build that's completely custom with its own instruction sets, and you can give it a tool, and that tool can be our MCP servers. And then it can integrate that into whatever you're having these agents do, whether it's an automation or workflow or a chatbot you're building. It can all be integrated right there with it. So,
yeah, totally agree. Last question, and then I'm not going to hold you any longer, Matt. So we've got another question. This one's from LinkedIn. It's from a developer working in a large agency, and they asked, regarding the Google Ads API Developer Assistant, how far can I trust it? Can it write my entire reporting integration for me? I'm gonna take this the first swing at this one because I honestly really love the ambition here.
You know this one better than me, so go for it.
But I think the assistant is super powerful. I think it's a great co-pilot, like I said earlier. It's not an autopilot. I would not have the assistant drive a car for me. But I would have the assistant keep an eye on the lanes and tell me when someone's about to crash into me, or tell me, hey, you should probably put your blinker on and turn left up here. It's a helpful tool for breaking out pieces of your integration. Hey, I need a snippet to upload my offline conversions. It's got you. I need an explanation of why I'm getting a specific error. It'll not only tell you what it is, it'll tell you how to fix it, and it'll ask you if you wanted to implement exponential backoff or something for it. So it'll really help you and educate you along the way, but it's not the solution. It's part of the solution. Matt, I think that was the last question. I want to really quickly thank you for joining us. Any parting thoughts before you leave?
Yeah, I think the world is changing a lot right now with all of these AI tools. Sometimes it might seem like hype. Sometimes it might seem also daunting and scary and crazy. Like there's so much changing. I think the main thing that I would say that you should take away from this is like, see what you can do with it. Like play around with it. Give it something that you have no expectation that it will ever figure it out, and see what happens. I've been trying to do this more and more. It's like give it more, see where it breaks, see where it falls, try to figure out why it didn't work. But I think that it's really important that you try this stuff out. You see how you can work that into your workflows. And we've been doing this with coding, like I said earlier. But for marketers, I'm really excited about where marketing is going to go. It's going to free up so much more creative energy to work on your campaigns, to drive better ROI, when you don't have to worry about a lot of the data analysis that you have to do today. Marketing data has become incredibly complex. You're getting your data from all these different sources. Like, how do you even make sense of all of it? What data can you trust and can't you? I think AI can really assist in this and help you to make better marketing decisions. So I'm really excited to see what everybody does about it. And again, check out our feedback for the MCP. That's one of the critical tools for integrating AI into your marketing workflows, are these MCP servers. That's why we created them. Really excited to get your feedback. Please reach out to us on Discord, and we'll get something set up.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. I'll let you get back to it.
All right. It was fun. Thanks.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. A key takeaway I want to leave you with is the barrier for entry in building sophisticated, data-driven advertising solutions, it's dropping rapidly. The busy work is being automated away. This means, potentially huge impact, much bigger than ever in terms of this space. And we really want you to feel empowered to experiment, to fail fast, and just to ultimately build great things. So please take our survey. Let us know your thoughts. Again, it's goo.goal/ADC-survey-E3. If you haven't already, please join our developer Discord. Follow me on LinkedIn. These are the absolute best places to get connected and stay up to date. Thank you so much for tuning into Ads DevCast. See you in 2 weeks.